Stroud and the Texans against Indy this weekend. Diggs seems to have already built a great relationship with his new quarterback.
You know, I look at him as family. Not just my quarterback. I'm rocking with him through thick and thin. I always say I'm with you when you're right, and I'm always with you when you're wrong. I feel like as a quarterback, he makes it real easy on me. Not only is he a hell of a quarterback, obviously you see him at practice, he can throw any ball. But as far as the mental part of it, he said, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, do what you got to do. I want to see you get open, be where you're supposed to be at the right time. I got you.
Kind of a shot at Josh Allen.
Is that how you perceive that?
Well, he's C.J. Stroud's family. He's known him 45 minutes. He hung out for years with Josh Allen. It's like, no, this guy's family. You're just a passerby in my life.
I'm real curious how teams defend the Texans. You put your number one corner on Diggs, right?
Well, I think you play zone. I think you zone the Texans. Cross your fingers, get a pass rush and zone. 90% of the coverages in the NFL now are zone anyway. So that's why the speedy wide receiver has value, but everybody's playing zone. That's just the way the league is. That's why Puka Nacua is not a speedster, can walk in and have so many catches. He's great at beating the zone.
I just wonder how Diggs is going to handle it if in the opener, it's like 4 targets, 3 catches, 25 yards. Like, is he going to be thrilled? Because they got some dudes on that offense. A lot of mouths to feed in Houston.
No, and they added Joe Mixon, so they're going to run the football. The power run game will improve. No,
Tank Dell's back. Dalton Schultz, Nico Collins. Nico Collins is getting a lot of buzz.
Now, you're going to call me crazy on this, but there is something about you go to Buffalo, the weather stinks, there's nothing really to do, it's a small market. And I kind of felt like Stefon Diggs felt like, okay, I go from Minnesota to Buffalo. I'm here, and I'm going to elevate you guys. And then once he didn't elevate him, he got very frustrated. I think Stefon Diggs looks at Houston as his final spot.
Well, he elevated Buffalo.
No, he did.
They were great with him.
Well, they were winning games, too, without him. They were winning games without him.
They went to the AFC Championship with Diggs. I still remember him standing on the field after watching the celebration ticked off.
Yeah, but they weren't losing games. They were winning 12, they were a good team without him.
There will be regression.
When you go to Buffalo, you want the payoff because you've sacrificed the weather and things to do. As a pro athlete, like Green Bay, and nothing to do here. The weather's not great. Not much of a social life. You got to win, and you want a trophy. That's why you'll go there. Free agents have all these choices. You ever notice free agents, when they have the opportunities, go to certain cities and certain weathers? So it's like I think he just got frustrated with the whole Buffalo thing.
So you were a free agent back in the day and came out here. How was the weather? How was lifestyle in Connecticut?
Weather, I was tired of Connecticut winters. Absolutely. Everything matters. When you're moving to a new place, some people worry about taxes. I'm not as much worried about that. I'm more worried about what's the weather, what's the opportunity. At the time, was it good for my kids and schools? But when you're an athlete, you're a pro athlete, and you're 27,
you don't care.
And you're single. Okay.
Where are the ladies?
Well, what's the life like? Can my family and friends come and see me? Do I have my guys I can hang out with? Is the team good? Am I going to get paid? And I think Buffalo for Stefon always felt like, I'm not going to end my life here. Can I win a trophy here? And I think Houston feels like, hey, I'm going to stay here for 5 years and my career here. That's what it feels like to me. Nothing wrong with Buffalo. I'm not attacking them. I kind of felt like that.
Houston is an interesting one. If they come out here and blow out the Colts in week 1, anything's at play. I don't know what's going on.
But the history tells you. Division underdogs in week 1, 2, 3, bet them.
And division home dogs.
Yeah, division home underdog. I should have made it one of my picks. I didn't because I love Houston. But one of the smartest plays of the weekend probably is the Colts. Division home dogs, even if they're not good and we think Indy is the bet.
I was going to save it for headlines. 17-4 in the last decade in week 1, home divisional dogs. There's 3 of them this weekend. 2 at home, 1 is not. Raiders are not at home.
Yeah.
You'll be firing a lot this weekend? Aren't you excited?
Well, yeah.
Just spraying the board. Let's go crazy.
Exciting. Or not, despite what the interweb says, 2 things can be simultaneously true. Number 1, I think Caleb Williams is going to be fun and exciting and productive, and I think he's the franchise quarterback the Bears haven't had forever. Number 2, the hype is way over the top. He completed 50% of his throws in the preseason, and he had a 79 passer rating. Even in college, his accuracy was erratic. And I say that as somebody that thinks he's a very unique all-time talent. But 3 games for USC last year in the Pac-12, he completed under 58% of his throws. He went in the preseason, he was 10 for 20 and a passer rating under 80. Okay, this is going to be bumpy. The Titans for the last 6 months have heard how great Caleb Williams is. I mean, they're an anonymous franchise. If you ask 50 NFL fans who the coach of the Titans is, 6 would have an answer. If you didn't count Nashville, maybe it's 3. Like, nobody knows. All they've heard for 6 months is, oh, this guy's unbelievable. You're going to get blown out. You do get the margins. This is not college football. It's pro football. I mean, one of the upset bets of the week, frankly, if you ask the sharps or the wise guys, is Tennessee. And Tennessee has no pressure, no expectations. They've got a mayonnaise out of a jar eating quarterback who a lot of people think is a bust already. That guy's got something to prove. They got a new coach. They've got all new weapons, an offensive, clever, creative guy that's for years now been leading Joe Burrow. Like, we don't know what Tennessee's going to look like, but it could be really interesting. So this whole thing about Caleb Williams, I like him. I think I've predicted for the Bears, let's just put it out there, 3rd place. I've predicted they'll win 7 or 8 games. I've predicted Caleb is the quarterback of the future, and I've also predicted, and I'll do it again today, it's going to be bumpy. They're not nearly as good roster-wise as Detroit or Green Bay. Green Bay's, I know you don't think Green Bay's organization top to bottom is here, and the Bears are 50,000, feet below the sea. It's not close. And that matters in this league. Number 1 quarterback picks, the number 1 pick at quarterback in week 1 all time is 4-15-1. 4-15-1. The last number 1 pick at quarterback to win week 1, David Carr, 22 years ago. So the last 3 years, there has been a big, major upset week 1 in the NFL. You ask all the wise guys, they think it's here. 9 straight winless number 1 pick quarterbacks in week 1. 9 straight winless. So it's like, this is going to be bumpy. Defensive coach in the hot seat. Tennessee's been told for 5 months, you're going to get blown out. This kid's amazing. You think Will Levis is going to be focused? You think this Tennessee team's going to be focused? Everybody, all the fans are betting Chicago. Everybody's in on the hype, and he's better than Justin Fields. But he can be an erratic thrower of the football. That's the knock all my GM buddies say on this. They all say the same thing. I love him, but he's got to refine that. He's got to sandpaper his accuracy. Go look at USC last year. 3 games in college under 58% completion percentage. That's not great. He's great, but that's not great. Stuff to work on. And here's Tom Brady earlier this week, stopped by our show, talking about when he knows, what does he see when he knows young quarterbacks are going to be successful?
For me, I think the sustainable part about quarterbacking is really what's up here, is what's in the brain. Are you snapping the ball and running good plays consistently against the defenses that you're out there watching as you're reading the defenses? So much of it to me is the coach giving the quarterback, because he's going to see it every day in practice, the coach and the players. Are they giving the quarterback the freedom to make the plays and the decisions that he needs to make to get the team to win?
Yeah, it's not going to be the feet. It's going to be upstairs that's going to win games. See the defense, read the defense, let her rip, and deliver it accurately. I think Caleb can do the first 3 easily. The last one's going to take work. He is not, on a consistent basis, a hyper-accurate quarterback. Bo Nix is. Bo Nix can't run like him. Bo Nix not as big as him, right? But Bo Nix can do that. So just a lot of turbulence on this flight. It's going to be a bumpy flight. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news.
This is the Herdline News.
All right. The Jets finally, Colin, have Aaron Rodgers back Monday for their primetime matchup against the Niners. Rodgers has faced many questions about whether he can return to playing at a high level. He was asked if there's a chip on his shoulder heading into week 1.
How do you not? I've always kind of played with something on my shoulder. You got to, manufacture things from time to time. But, it kind of goes back to the prove it. What I need to prove to, just myself at this point. So, but I have a lot of pride in my performance. So when I take the field, I expect greatness. And because I've done it before, and so that's kind of standard I hold myself to.
This is one of the best opening Monday Night Football games of all time. I cannot wait for this. I think the Jets, I think it's going to be a very close game. Very close game. Cross your fingers. Jets O-line, let's cross our fingers. They've got absolutely upgraded talent on the O-line. That's not disputable. Can it mesh? Because in this preseason now, nobody plays old guys in the preseason. So how long before that O-line can mesh? But in terms of quality